welcome to Millennium News Hour. I am Tanziba Naurin. In today's bulletin, we will get you detailed news from across the nation and the world. Let's begin with the headlines of the day. Biden intends to run for US President in 2024. US House Speaker Pelosi says Iran making big mistake supplying Russia with drones. Murray and Smiley spar over abortion crime in Senate debate. Newsom vows to finish 4-year term if re-elected governor. Task 1 in Trump Organization trial, picking a neutral jury. Michigan teen pleads guilty to killing 4 in school shooting. Gunfire during illegal racing on Chicago street kills 3. Ex-Minneapolis cop pleads guilty in George Floyd killing. Black Adam with Dwayne Johnson debuts with 67 million. Rishi Sunak, UK's next PM, faces major economic problems. Ukraine cites success in downing drones, fixes energy sites. Three of a family among 9 dead as cyclone Sitrang lashes Bangladesh. Korean airplane overshoots runway, shuts Philippine airport. Pope Macron meet at Vatican. Ukraine concerns loom large. Rain spoils South Africa-Zimbabwe match. Bangladesh wins at T20 World Cup. And Ukrainian club urges FIFA to remove Iran from World Cup. Now news in detail. Joe Biden, the oldest person ever in the US presidency, said Friday it's his intention to run again in 2024 and that his wife Jill thinks he should not walk away. Biden's comments in an interview with MSNBC addressed a question fascinating Washington watchers as Biden approaches his 18th birthday next month. I have not made that formal decision, but it's my intention to run again, and we have time to make that decision, Biden told MSNBC. Asked what the First Lady, who is widely judged to be a powerful voice behind the scenes in the White House, thinks of him seeking a second term, Biden indicated she was in favor. Biden has previously said he wants to run, but at times has also shown doubts. In an interview in September with CBS, he said it was much too early and his decision remains to be seen. In Friday's comments, Biden went further than before in explaining his reasoning about what would be a mold-breaking candidacy. If re-elected, he would be 86 by the time he finished his second term. Biden hinted, as he has before, that an attempt by Donald Trump to return to the White House might be his motivation to seek the gwilling job again. Pressure will grow on Biden to clarify his plans after the midterm elections on November 8, where his Democratic Party is currently expected to lose control of Congress to the Republicans. US House of Representatives Speaker Nancy Pelosi said Monday that Iran is making a big mistake by supplying Russia with drones that are targeting Ukraine's infrastructure. We have been trying for a while now to have a nuclear agreement with Iran so that we can make the world a safer place and now they are going off aiding the Russians and making the world a less safe place, Pelosi said in Zagreb, Croatia. The United States and key Western allies have accused Russia of using Iranian-made drones to attack civilians and power plants in Ukraine. Iran has denied it is supplying Russia with the explosive laden missiles, but the distinctive triangle-shaped drones have been seen. First of all, we have to be able to counter the drones, Pelosi said at a joint press conference with Croatian Prime Minister Andrej Plenković. It is a dangerous technology and it must be stopped. Pelosi was in Croatia to attend an international forum aimed at supporting Ukraine's independence in the face of the Russian aggression. US Senator Patty Murray and Republican challenger Tiffany Smiley argued over abortion, crime and inflation on Sunday in their only scheduled debate before the November 8 election. Smiley made numerous references to Murray's 30 years in the Senate during the hour-long debate televised from Gonzaga University in Spokane, Washington, saying it was time for a change. She is the image of big government, Smiley, who is making her first run for public office, said. You are not the mom in tennis shoes anymore, Murray, who is seeking a sixth term, said in this election. Women's rights are on the ballot. Our democracy is on the ballot and our economy is on the ballot. Murray has led the polling in the race, including a poll last week that showed she had an 8-point lead over Smiley, but that the race had also narrowed in recent weeks. The two candidates agreed that the federal immigration system was not working. Smiley said dangerous drugs were flowing across the border, while Murray said the system needs to be fixed for humanitarian reasons and to help businesses find employees. California Governor Gavin Newsom on Sunday vowed he would serve a full 4-year term if re-elected in November, trying again to knock down speculation that he wants to replace Democrat Joe Biden on the ballot should he not seek a second term. Newsom made the promise during an hour-long debate with his Republican challenger, State Senator Brian Dell, the only time the two candidates will meet face-to-face before voting ends on November 8. Newsom is expected to easily win re-election in November, more than 1 year after beating back a recall attempt fueled by anger at his pandemic policies, which included the nation's first statewide stay-at-home order. He has barely campaigned in California this year, instead spending money on ads in challenging Republican leaders Florida and Texas, potential opponents in a presidential election. Donald Trump's company goes on trial Monday in a criminal tax case, and the first task facing the court is a big one: picking a jury of New Yorkers who don't have a strong opinion about the former president. Manhattan prosecutors say the Trump organization helped top executives avoid income taxes on job perks such as rent-free apartments and luxury cars. Trump himself isn't on trial and isn't expected to testify, but the judge and lawyers in the case will likely be looking to keep people off the jury if they have unshakably strong feelings about the Republican who isn't liked in his hometown. In the 2020 presidential election, 87% of Manhattan voters supported Democrat Joe Biden for president. Trump got 12% of the vote. Once jury selection is complete, Judge Juan Manuel Merchan has said he expects the trial to last at least 4 weeks. The trial is expected to center on the actions and testimony of longtime Trump Organization executive Allen Weisselberg, who pleaded guilty in August to taking in more than $1.7 million worth of untaxed perks from the company. A teenager pleaded guilty Monday to terrorism and first-degree murder in a Michigan school shooting that killed 4 students and put an extraordinary focus on the boy's home life and the alleged role of his parents in the tragedy. Ethan Crumbley pleaded guilty to all 24 charges nearly a year after the attack at Oxford High School in southeastern Michigan. In the gallery, some relatives of the victims were weeping as Assistant Prosecutor Mark Kist described the crimes. Yes, he replied, looking down and nodding in affirmation when asked if he knowingly, willfully, and deliberately chose to shoot other students. The prosecutor's office said no deals were made ahead of Monday's plea. A first-degree murder conviction typically brings an automatic life prison sentence in Michigan, but teenagers are entitled to a hearing at which their lawyer can argue for a shorter term and an opportunity for parole. 3 young men were fatally shot and 2 more were seriously wounded early Sunday during what Chicago police called a caravan of street racers involving about 100 vehicles that took over an intersection on the city's southwest side. The shooting happened about 4 a.m. in Brighton Park after the caravan blocked streets leading to the intersection for illegal street racing, Chicago Police Commander Don Jerome said during a news conference. Those killed were between the ages of 15 and 20, Jerome said, adding that the 2 wounded are expected to survive. Police made no immediate arrests. A former Minneapolis police officer pleaded guilty Monday to aiding and abetting second-degree manslaughter in the killing of George Floyd just as jury selection was about to begin, though another ex-officer was still headed to trial. The plea deal for J. Alexander Kueng calls for 3.5 years in prison, with prosecutors agreeing to drop a count of aiding and abetting second-degree murder. Kueng is the second officer to plead guilty to the state charge, following Thomas Lane, who pleaded guilty earlier this year. Their former colleague, Tho Thao, rejected a plea deal earlier this year, telling a judge it would be lying to accept any such deal. Jury selection for Thao was expected to begin later Monday. All 3 were convicted in February on federal counts of willfully violating the civil rights of Floyd, who was black. Lane was sentenced to 2.5 years in the federal case. Kueng was sentenced to 3 years and Thao was sentenced to 3.5, but for some Floyd family members and activists, the penalties were too small. Floyd, 46 years old, died May 25, 2020 after Officer Derek Chauvin, who is white, pinned him to the ground with a knee on Floyd's neck as he repeatedly said he couldn't breathe. The killing, captured on widely viewed bystander video, sparked protests in Minneapolis and around the globe as part of a reckoning over racial injustice. Warner Bros. Black Adam opened with an estimated $67 million, according to studio estimates Sunday, handing Dwayne Johnson his biggest box office weekend as a leading man and launching the DC Comics character he spent a decade to bring to the big screen. Black Adam was a $200 million bid to upset the power balance in a DC extended universe dominated by the likes of Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman. The $67 million debut fell well shy of that stratosphere, even with the considerable draw of Johnson acting in his first superhero movie. Still, Black Adam managed the highest opening weekend since Thor: Love and Thunder debuted with $143 million in July. Black Adam, which stars Johnson as an ancient Egyptian summoned to the modern day, was notably hobbled by poor reviews, which is 40% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. Moviegoers were kinder, giving the film a B+ cinema score. It collected $73 million internationally for a $140 million global haul. Now it's time for global updates. Former Treasury Chief Rishi Sunak is set to become Britain's next Prime Minister after winning the Conservative leadership race Monday, and now faces the huge task of stabilizing the party and country at a time of economic and political turbulence. Sunak will be Britain's first leader of color and the nation's third leader just this year. He will take over as Prime Minister from Liz Truss, who quit last week after 45 tumultuous days in office, leaving a staggering economy and a shell-shocked and divided party. His only rival, Penny Mordaunt, conceded and withdrew after failing to reach the nomination threshold of 100 Conservative lawmakers needed to stay in the race. Sunak had been the strong favorite as the governing Conservatives sought stability at a time of immense economic challenges and after months of chaos that consumed the past two leaders. Sunak lost out to Truss in the last Conservative election, but his party now appears eager for a safe pair of hands to tackle soaring energy and food prices and a looming recession. The politician steered the economy through the coronavirus pandemic, winning praise for his financial support for laid-off workers and shuttered businesses. Ukrainian authorities tried to dampen public fears over Russia's use of Iranian drones by claiming increasing success Monday in shooting them down, while the Kremlin's talk of a possible dirty bomb attack has added another worrying dimension as the war enters its ninth month. Ukrainians are bracing for less electric power this winter, following a sustained Russian barrage on their infrastructure in recent weeks. Citizens in the southern Ukrainian city of Mykolaiv lined up for water and essential supplies as Ukrainian forces continued their advance on the nearby Russian-occupied city of Kherson. Ukraine's forces have shot down more than two-thirds of the approximately 330 shaded drones that Russia has fired through Saturday, the head of Ukraine's intelligence service, Kyrylo Budanov, said in an interview Monday. Budanov said Russia's military had ordered about 1,700 various types of drones and is rolling out a second batch of about 300 Shaheeds. 9 people died in different districts due to the impacts of cyclone Sitrang as the storm started crossing Bangladesh territory Monday evening. Of them, 3 died in Kumilla, 2 in Bhola and 1 each in Norail, Shariatpur, Barguna and Dhaka. Of the deceased, 8 people died as branches fell on them, while 1 person in Dhaka died as a wall collapsed on the victim. In Kumilla, 3 members of a family, a man, his wife and daughter, died when a tree collapsed on their house in Heshakal Westpara of Nangalkot Upazila of Kumilla. The local administration and people rescued and took them to the Upazila Health Complex where they died. The family are among 8 people who died in 5 districts of the country due to the effects of cyclone Sitrang. A damaged Korean airplane remained stuck in the grass at a central Philippine airport Monday after it overshot a runway in rainy weather the night before. No injuries were reported among the 162 passengers and 11 crew members who escaped from the aircraft using emergency slides. Dozens of flights have been cancelled and Mactan Kebu International Airport, one of the country's busiest, remained closed due to the stalled aircraft at the end of its lone usable runway. The terrifying close call prompted a public apology from Korean Air's president and a vow from one of Asia's most prominent airlines to take steps to prevent a recurrence. We always prioritize safety in all of our operations, and we truly regret the stress and inconvenience brought to our passengers, Korean Air President Woo Ki-hong said in a statement. The front underbelly of the plane was sheared off and its nose was heavily damaged. The plane lay tipped forward on a grassy area with its front landing wheel not visible and emergency slides deployed at the doors. A ripped open hole was also visible at the top of the plane near a front door. Pope Francis on Monday met at the Vatican with French President Emmanuel Macron, with the war in Ukraine looming large in both leaders' concerns. The nearly hour-long private audience was Francis' third with Macron since becoming pontiff. Neither side immediately released details of their talks. On the eve of their meeting, Macron spoke at a conference in Rome about the need for Ukraine to decide the time and terms of peace with Russia, which invaded its neighbor 8 months ago. Francis will go to the Colosseum on Tuesday to deliver a speech to the same forum, a conference centered on the need for peace and organized by a Catholic charity close to the Vatican. Now a look of today's sports stories. Rain denied South Africa an all but certain win in its opening game at the T20 World Cup on Monday, as Quinton de Kock's attempt to blast his team to victory against Zimbabwe was cut short by the weather in Hobart. De Kock hit 47 not out from 18 balls as South Africa was initially chasing 80 to win, and doing it quickly after rain delayed the start and reduced the Group 2 game to 9 overs each. The victory target was reduced to 64 of 7 overs after more rain, and South Africa was 51 with 0 wicket after 3 overs when the weather returned for the final say before de Kock could get his team home. The game was called a no result, giving each team 1 point to open their Super 12 campaigns. Earlier, Taskin Ahmed took wickets with the first 2 balls of the innings to set Bangladesh on course for a 9-run win over Netherlands in their Group 2 meeting, Bangladesh's first victory in the Super 12 round of a T20 World Cup. Bangladesh was sent into bat and made a rapid start before being restricted to 144 by 8 wickets in cold, overcast conditions in the day's early game in Hobart. Fast bowler Taskin added 2 more wickets to his first over damage to return 425 as Netherlands was bowled out for 135. Colin Ackerman played a lone hand for the Dutch batting lineup, posting a defiant 62 from 48. It was Bangladesh's first win in 17 games in the second round of a T20 World Cup. Ukraine's top soccer club on Monday urged FIFA to remove Iran from the World Cup because of the country's alleged military support to the Russian invasion. Shakhtar Donetsk chief executive Sergei Palkin accused Iran of direct participation in terrorist attacks on Ukrainians, suggesting his own country's team should play in Qatar instead as a replacement. This will be a fair decision that should draw the attention of the whole world to a regime that kills its best people and helps kill Ukrainians, Palkin said in a statement one day before his team plays at Celtic in the Champions League. Iran plays in the second game of the World Cup on November 21st against England and then faces Wales and the United States in Group B. Wales qualified by beating Ukraine in the playoffs in June in a game that was delayed from March by the war. FIFA did not immediately respond to a request for comment. However, if an Asian team was suspended, there would be no precedent for FIFA to replace it with a European team at the World Cup. Let's have a look on today's weather chart. That's all in today's news. Keep watching Millennium News 24 for latest updates. Millennium TV USA and Millennium News 24 network is transmitted and available to be watched free for all at TVs such as Sony, Samsung, LG, Roku TV, Amazon TV and Apple TV. And also in all European countries and Australia, available with Sky Network, Worldwide Jadoo TV, Radiant IPTV, Worldwide Jago BD Network and Horizon Satellite globally. Stay connected with us for all types of informative and entertainment program. Thank you.